That, I just want to talk about design reviews, because that was sitting up in the corner of that prior graphic. And what the regulations say about design reviews are that you need to plan to have certain reviews at key points. They don't say which points. They kind of imply you need to have at least one. So that's important, because that means that you can basically plan to have your reviews at any points that you determine are critical to moving your design forward, which I think is actually a great practice anyway. Like, who wants to just do a bunch of work and not really stop and take a look and say, hold on, are we still meeting our goals until you get to the end? I mean, these are things that make sense. So in this example, I've just thrown in a couple of reviews that are typical of ones that I've seen in industry. So we have a design input review, where what you would do is basically have a formal review of all of the work that's been done in identifying user needs and design inputs, and ask the question, do the design inputs that I've identified address the user needs sufficiently? Do I think I'm starting off in the right direction, or are there elements of user needs that I identified that we've decided we're not interested in addressing, and why? And having an actual conversation around a table with a group of people that have reviewed your documentation. The other important element described in the regulations that the FDA wants to see is they want to see an independent reviewer. So they want to see somebody who wasn't directly connected to your design process giving you input and feedback on it. You have a lot of latitude to define exactly who that person is, or it doesn't even have to be one person, it can be a few people. But just that, I think that central core of just making sure that they're not somebody that helped you with the design, that helped you, move it through, is key. You're really looking to just get a set of eyes on it that can maybe point out and reveal things that you as a team may just miss because you've been collaborating on it so long. So you have that review. You then, assuming that you've got a successful outcome, you would move further into the design process. If you don't, the idea should be you want to keep going back and refining. But if you've got enough and you feel confident, you have a review. Typically, you might also note, hey, there's additional things we want to make sure get addressed, or questions that we see at this review point that we want to make sure get answered as we go further into the design process. But it'll support you moving forward until you hit something, and this is pretty common in industry as well, that they'll call a design freeze review, where you eventually hit a point that you feel, in our design outputs, we believe we've got specifications that are going to be sufficient to address the inputs, and it would be a design that we believe we would want to move forward with verifying and validating can achieve the goals that we need. So you usually have a point here that you would call the design freeze review, and then you're reviewing those outputs, evaluating all of the data that you developed during that process to ensure that they address the inputs sufficiently. You're also looking back at that review that you had and pulling in any additional observations that were made at that time. And then you'll move forward into the later development work to get at that medical device from those reviews. And there's probably going to be other reviews past this point. You might have sub-reviews. It really depends on the complexity of what you're going after. And it largely comes down to what you as a developing team feel is most appropriate. So in the long run, those will go live in the design history file. They're just as important as the design and development plan and telling the story of what happened along the course of developing your product.